Hello and welcome to Your Better Life with Anush TV, the place to be to start creating the kind of life you truly deserve and desire at your core. Your go-to every week for success, healthy lifestyle, and transformation. Part of my promise to you is to bring to you the greatest people in the personal development industry to help you take your life to the next level, whatever that may be. It may be a better relationship, it may be a better career, more abundance. You have the power within to change anything you want in your life. And I'm just here to share with you the best tools and techniques in the personal development industry to help you go from where you are to where you want to be. And today's guest is an amazing person. She's a powerhouse. She's an amazing coach. She is the founder of Playing Full Out Coaching and Consulting. She is a Tony Robbins coach. She has consulted Fortune 500 companies, business owners, executives to create business and professional and personal success. And she also has this amazing podcast. And she is a co-founder of the rawtruths.com. That's a podcast name. It's a weekly podcast and it's an amazing podcast. So stay tuned to have this very meaningful conversation with Erikas Becker. This program is brought to you by Gagua Group International, doing business development, branding, and online marketing for your success. Erikas Becker is my guest, and here I am with you, Erikas.
Hi! Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. Yes. And I'm a big fan of your podcast.
Oh, fantastic! Love meeting fans.
Because the truth is raw, it's real, and I love your, you say where insights are born and boring goes to die,
yes.
And real life solutions to really create the kind of life that you truly want. Pretty much what I do with the people that I coach, and I'm so honored to have you here.
Yay! Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad that you're listening in and that you're finding value in it.
And one of the podcasts that was really amazing was the one that totally resonated with me, is like, how do you stay independent yet strong, loving, passionate in your relationship versus being codependent?
Yes.
Could you please share the difference between the two, first of all? And what are the benefits of really staying independent in your powerful, loving, strong relationship?
Yes, and that has been a very successful one for many people. We get a lot of requests in the relationship realm, and that one actually came from one of our male listeners, and he was like, I'm just starting a relationship, and how do I stay true to me and also still have this thriving, amazing relationship that everybody wants?
Right.
And I think that there is a fine line. There's a difference between being independent and over-independent of, no, I don't need you, or yes, let's come together and, at certain times and we're gonna have fun, but really I'm just my career, I have my wants, I have my needs, I'm good, and then there's the relationship. And I think you can have both. It's possible to have both. And so by being independent in a thriving relationship is what everybody's really searching for. And that's why we did that podcast. And we've gotten a lot of great responses from it. So it is possible.
It is possible, and you are living it in your life.
Yes.
I've seen your relationship with Steve Becker, and you have been together for how many years now?
15.
15 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And every time I say your relationship, it's so alive. You both are your authentic selves,
yes.
And there's great, great friendship going on at the same time.
Yeah.
How did you manage to keep it in your relationship with Steve, and what were some of the pitfalls?
Yeah, no, we've had them. It's definitely, we're not perfect, but that's also where we are now. And, one of the things that I think really was great for us is that we actually did a long distance relationship for about a year. Not that everybody needs to do that. For us, it worked. And because what it allowed for us to do was find out who we are as individuals, and then really got to figure out, before I moved from Seattle to San Diego, we found out what a relationship really needed to be. What was my definition, what was his definition, and say, okay, we're gonna take this leap together based on what our beliefs and our values were, and we knew about each other. So not knowing it then, that's really how we tell people or suggest to people to really set up that, the core foundation. So we laid out the core foundation first, and then we took the plunge. And you have to have trust, you have to have faith in what you're doing, but also I set up some boundaries. I said, yes, I will move to San Diego, but here's, this is where I want to go with my career. This is what I do. You have your thing. And again, we didn't realize it, but we were doing everything that the podcast we talked about, and also, that we're going to talk about today. So we really just established everything up front, and now, we thrive. And some of the pitfalls have been there, but that's where we learn. And that's where communication comes in. And I'm sure we'll go into more detail on that, but our communication has to stay really strong.
And one of the things that you talk about in this podcast, and one of the things of staying independent versus codependent in a relationship, is having that time and space for yourself.
Oh, 1000%.
Yes.
Yes.
And something that happened to me in my personal relationship when I first got married, I was like, no, we're doing everything together.
Yes.
And when you fall into that, when you cannot really do everything together. And my husband, especially when two people love each other, they want to share what's working for them, and they want the other person to do the same.
Yeah.
So what are some of the tips and strategies for people to really be in a thriving, loving relationship, yet to stay in their time and space and really stay true to themselves?
Yeah, great question. Because we jump into relationships sometimes, or any time in a relationship, and we want to be together all the time, or you have the same interests and passions, and sometimes you just end up doing them all together, but then you can look back maybe and say, wait a minute, where am I? And so some tips and strategies would be, keep your own, like if you're somebody who has a specific workout, or you go out with your girlfriends, or you go out with your guy friends, keep those things going. They may adjust as far as times and how often, but don't stop doing them. Keep the lifestyle that you have created either before the relationship or even created during the relationship with outside interests. Keep doing those. And if you haven't, create some. I think it's really important to be able to bring to the table, to bring to a conversation with your spouse or significant other, hey, this is what I'm doing. These are some of my interests. And it brings that passion. So, but one thing that's really important, a really great tip, is to not just have date night with your significant other, but to really to create hobbies together. Because one thing that can happen for independent people is you're too independent.
That's a big one.
Yeah, and so like for my husband and I'm a mountain girl. I like adventure, and he's the surfer guy. He's always in the water, and he does a lot of boy trips. I do a lot of girl trips. If we didn't have intention and purpose of the relationship, we could just check in. Hey, how's your day? Oh, hey, it's good. Yeah, I'll see you next week. Oh, hey, yeah, that's good. So I think relationships have to be about intention, and you have to set that purpose. So we're like, hey, what do we love to do together? Or so we love to travel. We love to do, we love to do hiking. We love to go biking. We love to go shopping. We love to, there's so many things, but we have to intentionally say, these are our hobbies. This is what we're going to do. And then that keeps that, for us, our hobbies and activities together. But then on the side, one thing that's also really important that I think gets missed is when he's out doing his thing, or if I'm out doing my thing, I want to come home and I want to share that with him. And I need him to be present. And just like when he is coming home and he's doing his after a trip that maybe he had, I need to be present. And it's not having any judgment. It's just, hey, share with me, what did you do? So it's really about combining your life with theirs, and really trusting and knowing that together you're also going to have that foundation. And
and we can talk about the how-tos in terms of creating that time and space, but there's a very important element, which is trust.
Yes.
Because if you don't trust the other person, and if you want to control the other person, then none of these how-tos are going to work.
Right.
So trust is such an important piece. And if you think about it, when two people get together in the beginning stages of the relationship, is exactly what you're telling to keep moving forward, because they have their interests, they have their hobbies, and they have found each other attractive for that very reason.
Yes, yes.
So to have what you have in the beginning toward the end or continuation of the relationship is to maintain that person as a wholesome person, and just make minor adjustments to have that shared place together.
Yes, 1000%. And you actually bring up something really key. You just said you had the wholeness. And I think that's something really important, is that you are two full individuals coming together. You're not looking to complete each other. You're not looking to, oh, he's going to complete me. That's, if you look at it that way, well, if you're never together, that means, are you not complete?
And that's a meme that has been there forever. My better half, or you know. And
Tom Cruise, right?
Right,
you complete me.
You know, it's in the movie.
Yeah,
it's,
exactly.
It's great. A lot of people, when I talk to them, also clients, like, I cannot find the right man for me. Like, find yourself first.
1000%. And that's another key one. When you are in your own authentic self, when you are living in your true passion and your true purpose, even if you don't know what that is, but you know that you are living your authentic life, and that's when the right person will show up. When you're not trying to fit in with this person or that person or do what mom and dad want you to do, or you're just doing the traditional roles, that's when life really shows up for you, and that's when the right person will show up.
And also, you know, we all have this great intentions. We can put them out there and we can make them happen, yet sometimes, you know, things are not working out the way we intended them. And it's so important to really speak out the truth, speak up the truth. And I'm just going to share something very vulnerable for me. Like right after when I had the baby, this is a time when you're super codependent on your husband, and you want to please your, you know, it's that vulnerable time. And it is so important even then, because your man wants to do what's best, what he thinks is best for you. So it is very important to share your truth and share openly, this is not working for me, instead of just stacking it and stacking it and stacking it, and then boom, you burst out, and then they don't know. So that's a big piece for women. If you love your man and if you love yourself, give yourself that time and space and courage to really share your truth.
Absolutely. You have to do that. As women, you have to do that. And your man also will, you know, for him just to appreciate you and just appreciate where you're at, just listen. And that's where the communication comes in. So for you to be able to communicate to your husband and what needs that you have or that are being met, that aren't being met, it's going to take him to know, this is my time to listen, this is my time to serve, not my time to say or be judgmental. So that's, again, part of the communication. So all of it isn't, if you unravel this and go to the very core of it, it comes back to us. It comes back to being able to communicate, being able to trust, being able to be vulnerable, being able to ask for help, being able to say what you need. So it comes down to just some really, really true, basic, core foundational values of ourselves.
And one of the things that you talked also about in your podcast, which was a big one for me, was like being your own cheerleader. And like that self-love. Because a lot of times your man is so busy taking care of all the other aspects of your life that he may not be able to give you the perfect gift that you want, or the music, or whatever that makes you feel great. And Louise Hay talks about this, like saying, I love you to yourself in the mirror every single day. And how big of a piece is that? Just complimenting yourself and being your own. And women sometimes think this is selfish, this is so narcissistic, but no, what is going to happen to you when you don't have that energy to give to yourself, to your husband, to your daughter or baby, the family? So can you talk more about that?
That's so huge.
Part?
I'm so glad you brought that up. Celebration, but also self-love. And you know, one of the things when I share with people or when I'm working with a client is, you know, what do you do or what do you say to people who you love? And they're like, well, you know, I give them a hug, I tell them I love them, and I'm like, why don't you do that to you? You know, so sometimes it's even very, very, you know, it's hard for them to even think about that because they're like, oh my gosh. You know, so celebrating yourself, knowing your own self-worth, this goes back to owning your greatness. And this can be sometimes really hard for women. And so giving yourself self-love, filling yourself up, and that could look like different things for different people. Filling up for me, going hiking, going, you know, meditating, taking a nice bath, right? Those are, I mean, it's like that's almost like equivalent to like 8 hours of sleep. But it's different for everybody. So find what works for you and what fills you up and make sure that you're doing it. And if you're not getting any of that, you're missing just such a key component of passion, of love, and of just fulfillment, because you have to have that.
And then you put so much, a lot of expectations from your, lover or husband or partner, because they don't know what you need to feel alive. Right. So it's really important. If you love your husband or your partner, it's so important to take care of yourself. Yes. Go there fully charged so that you have something to give.
And they feel it. They feel that energy. Steve sometimes, my husband, sometimes he's like, maybe you should go meditate. I'm like,
oh, really?
Got it, totally get it. Because, it's just, you're a different person. You go back to your core, you go back to who you are. And it also, again, like you just mentioned, having expectations. And sometimes when you're depleted, are you acting the same way that you would when you're filled up? I mean, it's a completely different person sometimes. So it's huge.
And also another big piece, and this has been a big one for us in my relationship, because my husband is all about doing things together.
Yes.
And I am a big one of hyper-independent woman of 36 plus years of living my life on my own and doing things on my own. So in the beginning of the relationship, I wanted to do everything my way, and then if we have time, we share.
That's great.
And he wanted to do everything together. Yeah. So can you please talk more about having individual goals, but then also having shared goals?
Oh, it's a big one. Yeah. And, Steve and I actually fell victim to that too. I was exactly the same. I was like, we have to go to the bed at the same time. We have to have dinner at the same. I mean, I was clueless. I was really clueless. I'm embarrassed to say, but I'm glad I went through that. And now we've worked out the kinks. But again, it's keeping your own goals, but it's also communicating your individual goals to each other. So you can say, hey, this is how I'm gonna need to be supported. How can I support you? But then also having goals together. And it doesn't mean that you're just gonna maybe have to be flexible in those. So in other words, you don't want to make all your goals okay, here's my, without consulting or without talking to your husband, I should say. So work them out to have individual goals. But if you find that you're not able to be flexible or you're not able to compromise in how you get there, that might be a little bit of a challenge, because it takes, okay, here's my goals, and how do you feel about them? And, are you there to support me? How does it fit into our couple goals? So you really, once you become in a relationship, you're looking at the whole big picture. Don't lose sight of them, but you may need to be flexible in the approach. That's really that key difference, is being flexible in the approach.
Exactly. And Tony Robbins talks about this, about having a massive action plan toward an end result. Yes. And that's why it's so important, even in a relationship, when you have that thing which is really having that shared vision. Yeah. It's so important to create the time and space for that. Yes. And then find ways to create the result, however it may be. So just like you said, you're a mountain girl, Steve likes to surf. In our case, it's different. So it's very important to be very intentional in a relationship. Oh yeah. And because it's what you make it. Yeah. And then when life happens and you don't have that intention, that's what happens to that's why relationships go down. Yeah. In the beginning, you have this boom, passion, zazazoo, and all these things going on.
Well, think about what's the only thing that shifts? What's the main thing that shifts?
Focus.
Yeah. Absolutely, 1000%.
Yes.
Focus and intention and purpose. In the beginning, you're putting full focus on the other person or on the relationship. Usually it's the relationship. I want this relationship to be amazing, or usually from a woman. And then the man is, this woman is amazing, I mean, so it's sometimes a little different, but you're putting focus on it. And what happens when life happens is you then go into reaction. Career takes over, kids take over, there's different things that happen, and then you're going through the motions. You have to stop, both of you, and say, stop, this is enough. It's now time to get purposeful. It's now time to get playful. It's now time to get back to what we committed to. But it takes intention in order to do that. So you have to go in and re-look at, what are we now going to focus on? Are you focusing on what's not working, or are you going to focus on what can be great?
What can be great, and actually that's such a major piece, having the time and space for that. Yeah. And getting out sometimes of the house. Yes. And just doing it there. Yes. So that you could actually be physically able to listen to each other.
1000%. Yeah. And giving yourself permission. I give you permission to be honest? I need permission. You have to really put it out there. And people sometimes say it's a little mechanical, but I think you have to have those mechanics and the strategy in order for the psychology that you lay, in order for that foundation to be able to come out. Otherwise, it's Band-Aids.
And you said something during before the interview started. You said, asking for feedback and also not being upset when you get that feedback.
Be ready to receive.
Yes,
be ready to receive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Well, wrapping it up, let's just kind of sum up all of the 5 tips that we have come up with that every woman and man can take and make their relationship even better.
Yeah. Having your own independent goals, having your couple goals, making sure that you both are looking at them and you're getting the support that you need, that you find your own time and space, and that you stay true to that, and that it's really an identity. Do you know who you are before you go in, and are you able to hold that in the relationship? And if not, talk with your spouse, talk with your significant other, and create those fun, passionate, have fun date nights, and also create a hobby together. So it's not just date night, but it's, hey, this is something that we also do together.
Activities, because then every time you meet your beautiful, better other person, I don't want to say hi,
right?
Then in your mind there's that stimulation. You associated all of these pleasurable activities that are connected to your husband or wife or your partner. Okay.
Absolutely.
And my final question is, you've been in life coaching industry for years now.
Yes.
What has been your path really quickly, and why do you love it so much?
Oh gosh, loaded question. Great question. No, it's a great question. Yes, I like to tell people I was born into this world. My father is a coach. He's been a major influence, and that was way before I was even born. So I feel this has just been my path and my purpose. And what I love about it is, I know it sounds so cliche, but when your clients light up, and I really feel from a young age that I was shown my purpose, and that was to be a light for others, to shine my light. So everything that I've experienced, there's nothing that I would ever coach or consult if I either have not felt it or really can, dig in, and not from a judgmental place, but see in you your potential. And so that is my mission, to shine my light as I can for anyone that's in front of me, anybody that I get to work with. And so it's definitely been my mission.
And the biggest thing about coaching is as we work with our client, is like seeing that shift of what they thought was possible for them, and then you have this coaching session and they're like, wow, this is a possibility for me. And that's that light, and when they see that possibility, they feel they have the ability to move forward. And also reminding them of their strengths, and then instead of focusing on the problems, focusing on the progress, week to week, month to month, and then pretty soon they're living a better life than if they didn't do that. Thank you so much, Erika, and I'm looking forward to more podcasts on the real raw truths.
Thank you.
And awesome conversation, and looking forward to more.
Thank you so much for having me, Anush. Thank you.
That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. You heard amazing tips and strategies to make your relationship loving, strong, and passionate, but at the same time to stay true to yourself, to your authentic self. Stay tuned for more on Anush TV, and start making healthy little tweaks in your life to go from where you are to where you want to be. And remember, life is what you make it, so make your life outstanding.